about reimbursement when it comes to 21st century programs. So as you all know, I have an after school program called J.O.Y Making a Difference. J.O.Y stands for Just Start Youth Making a Difference. It's been almost 10 years. In June, it will be 10 years having this program. And I also have a healthcare agency, a Second Touch support coordination, and that almost 10 years in March. I want to get into reimbursement because I get a lot of people asking me, how do you get funded? And I just have a quick disclaimer. My email is contact@steneldamoneytherapist.com, but currently I cannot get into my email. I have been trying to contact the 365. It's been a lot and I've been extremely busy, but if you email me and I'm not responding to you, that's because I cannot respond to you right now. But I will. You can contact me through YouTube, Instagram, @steneldamoneytherapist. 21st century is basically for academic enrichment for children that are in Title I schools. And that's for, poverty level. And for 10 years, I have, it's not easy. I'm going to say I struggle because it's not easy. You have to meet what is called a LOS, a level of service, and that depends on the amount of dollars that you will receive. Depending on the money that you receive, if you don't have students attending at that level within 30 days, you could lose your funding. So it's not easy, and by the grace of God, for 10 years, we have been doing this. So it's a 5-year cycle, and then you have to do it again and go out all over again for another 5 years. You have to have a nonprofit, a 501c3. School districts have funding, so it's easier for them to go out than someone such as myself that's solo, that went out as a nonprofit, because you have to have money in order to pay your staff before what we're going to get into, your reimbursement. It's just, you have to be able to pay your staff, because reimbursement is after I pay you, I'm requesting that money back and you're reimbursing me. Is it doable? Absolutely. I was doing interviews in Starbucks back in 2015. So it's very doable. It is very doable. But is it hard? Absolutely. Everything is hard when it's work, right? So with reimbursement, what I have in front of me is I have an invoice. And just to give you some information, the invoice, this is January, the invoice is for December. Now, this invoice, because it's dated for December, when I requested my reimbursement in January, I did request for this particular invoice because I know exactly how much money, I know what line is on, I know what it's for, and that way I can pay this particular vendor. Whenever you have grants, you can't just pay yourself whatever you want. You have to get approved, and it's different budget lines. So you have your administrative line, you have your line for supplies. Every line, you have to make sure that you allocate that money. So I have a spreadsheet. So when I request the money, I am logging that on my spreadsheet and I am sending that to my accountant. And then my accountant had that. When my accountants send over to me my statements for the month, they ask me, check everything, make sure it's okay, because at the end of last quarter, I will get audited to make sure that everything that I requested is aligned right and it matches what the accountant had. It is a lot. It's a lot. I am not trying to be a downer, but I want you to know how extremely important it is when you have a 21st century program when it comes to reimbursement. So I also have my staff contact sheet in front of me. So there are 21 individuals on my contact sheet that I pay, including myself. You can't come in and say, oh my gosh, when I have a 21st century, I'm going to pay myself $80,000, $100,000. No, you're not. It's not like that. 21st century funding is for the children. It's for the school. It's for whatever the kids want, whatever they need as far as academic, trips, learning, cooking, whatever it is, STEAM, doesn't matter. It's for the children. I want to get that very clear. On this list, it is 21 individuals that are paid on my payroll. I am one of the 21. And this is basically teachers. The majority, the budget goes to teachers. The budget, because teachers with 21st century, you're bringing that money into the school district. And so you want to make sure you're hiring certified teachers that's in that school district. So I have teachers, I have teachers' aides, and I have site coordinators. Site coordinators are what I call the principals of the after school program. So when I look at me and my title, I am the chief, the owner, the founder, the chief executive officer. I have a program director that oversee everything. I used to be the face, and then I started to maneuver. Once I learned what it was, I was able to say, okay, this is where I have to focus on continuing, making sure everything line up financially. That's the biggest part. So my role is, I am the CEO, but I am also the fiscal director to make sure that all the finances are where they need to be and we are always in order. Looking at the payroll, when I go and do reimbursement, I look at the payroll and I add up the teachers, I add up the program aides, the site coordinators, and that's how I request the funds. So when you ask, how are you being funded? You're being funded through federal funds, and everything have to line, everything have to match, everything have to be approved through the officers through 21st century. And this is done every single month. So it's not yearly. It goes from September to, for me, almost August, but the end of July, because you have to run a summer, 4 weeks in the summer when it comes to running the after school program for 21st century. So I just want to make sure that that part is clear. So when you do get to that part, you have to make sure that you have your SAMS number. So a SAMS number is, if you are indeed, like myself, a vendor, you have to make sure that you have your 501c3, your EIN, all this information. You go to SAMS stuff, you go to SAMS.gov and you fill out an application. You need your DUNS number, and then that's how you get your SAMS in order to get grants, because you cannot get a grant without that SAMS number, and you have to register every year. Because if you do not register and get a new SAMS number every single year with a new expiration date for that year, you will not be funded. So it is a lot of moving parts. But that's what I really wanted to just talk about, was reimbursement and how important reimbursement is when it comes to funding. You also have your contractor. So I do have one person on here that is a contractor. Now, this particular contractor, because the contractor, he owns his own company, that he's not a 1099. I kind of shun from 1099s on my payroll. I'd rather you have come with your LLC, whatever documents that you have. That way I can pay you in your company name, because I get audited. So when I get audited from the Department of Labor, and that stuff is so real, and this is very important to any business person. When you have a person that is a 1099, what they look for, they want to make sure they have an email address. They want to make sure they have a website. That email address has to be an email address in their business name, not at Yahoo, not at Gmail. They have to have a business email address. They have to have an actual website. That's exactly what they look for. And they need to have an LLC, or they have to have some type of document. If the S Corp, C Corp, majority is the LLC. That is very important, because 1099s definitely get flagged when you are getting audited, and you will get audited. So that, for me, that's reimbursement for me. If you have any questions, please let me know. Leave your comments. Please subscribe to my channel, as we are very, 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 very low on the bottom, and we're trying to work our way all the way up to the top. I've been doing this for a long time, but I have not been consistent. And I am going to be consistent in the year 2025. Because I tell anybody, if you're not consistent in what you do, you will not succeed. Consistency is everything. Thank you for coming on my channel, and I'll see you next time.